Heartwarming truth uncovered. Millionaire exposes incredible sacrifice of Maid, protecting his sweet daughter. Maria's heart pounded as she wiped fingerprints off the glass doors of the Thompson residence. Morning sun flooded the exquisite kitchen, glaring off marble countertops, and for a moment, she felt like a ghost in a world where she didn't belong. The laughter of the Thompson children echoed down the hall, rich, carefree, unburdened. Maria shook off the thoughts, reminding herself why she was here. She was a single mother, fiercely loving, eager to create a future for her two kids, Sophia and Lucas, far from the struggles she faced. In Maplewood, it was easy to forget the realities of life when surrounded by pristine lawns and sprawling mansions. Delicious aromas wafted from backyard BBQs, and laughter rang out at school events. With every wave of tinted glass doors Maria cleaned, she felt more and more like an outsider, chalking it up to how different life had carved her path compared to the Thompsons. Then it happened, a moment that would change everything. Little Emma, David's youngest, with her endless curls and bright eyes, wandered too close to the busy road lining their neighborhood. Maria had just finished dusting and caught sight of the child as a car sped around the corner, the driver distracted and unaware. Time slowed. Overwhelmed with instinct, Maria dashed forward, pushing Emma out of harm's way, a sharp pain ripping through her ankle as she fell hard on the concrete. David, who had been preoccupied with his phone, looked up just in time to see Maria's sacrifice. He dropped his device, horror etched across his face, as the world resumed its frenzied pace. The frantic honking of cars drowned out the momentary silence. Maria lay on the ground, breathless, heart racing, and when she looked up, she saw David rushing toward her. The stillness that followed was heavy. The bravest thing Maria had ever done became a moment of discomfort for David. Instead of gratitude, he awkwardly offered her a monetary bonus, like a band-aid on an open wound, falling short of what this moment represented. Maria's chest tightened. "I'm not for sale," she declared, shaking her head fiercely. "My dignity cannot be bought." The air crackled with tension between them. David's face reddened with embarrassment, and the gulf of assumptions, stereotypes, and misunderstanding widened as Maria struggled to her feet, pain pulsing through her injured ankle. The other neighbors, who had often overlooked Maria, caught snippets of the scene, perplexed by the swirling emotions. Days turned into restless nights. David found himself haunted by the incident and began to question the world he lived in. He watched Maria bandaging her wounds at home, the way she tucked her children in with love, sacrificing her few comforts for their well-being. A clarity washed over him as he overheard whispers about her. A background character in their privileged lives, unnoticed and unseen, judged for the very sacrifices that defined her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. At a neighborhood gathering, the scrutiny of Maria echoed in his mind. He began to see beyond the maid's apron, desiring a true connection with her. He craved to acknowledge her strength, yet social barriers held him back. The next time they met, something electric lingered in the air. There they stood facing the stark chasm carved by wealth and privilege. Amidst a swirling tide of emotions, would Maria open herself to the possibility of understanding? Could David unravel the blindfold of his privilege and reach across the divide? The silence hung heavily between them, concealing the answers, as the winds of change began to rustle the leaves in the grand Maplewood trees, each waiting for their next move. The next morning, Maria was back at the Thompson house, albeit with a heavy heart. Her ankle throbbed gently, a constant reminder of the chaos from yesterday. Despite the pain, she pushed herself forward, focusing on the familiar tasks that filled her days. But the normalcy felt hollow now, like a mask she wore for the world around her. She scrubbed the teak dining table, Her thoughts were consumed by that moment, the look of shock on David's face, the awkward exchange that followed. Did he really see her sacrifice? Or was it just another episode in the life he led? The questions twisted in her mind like vines, growing more tangled by the hour. David, too, felt the weight of the encounter. The image of Maria flinging herself in front of Emma played over and over, refusing to fade. His coffee sat untouched, cooling as he stared out the sunlit window. He had never considered how someone could carry so much love and bring such selflessness into an ordinary day. Her form filled his thoughts, not just as the maid but as a woman, a mother, a warrior. The world outside continued in its frenzy. He picked up his phone, tapping through social media, but nothing could hold his attention. The frivolity felt cheap in comparison to what Maria had done. He needed to talk to her again. He needed to understand. After leaning on the brink of indecision for too long, David noticed Maria through the kitchen window, a flicker of determination in her movements as she cleaned. He took a deep breath and stepped outside, the warmth of the sun shining down despite the chill in his stomach. He approached her, the nervousness twisting in him like a knotted rope. "Maria?" His voice was steadier than he felt. She paused, surprise flashing across her face. She turned slowly, a wash of caution in her eyes. "Mr. Thompson," she replied, keeping things formal. The walls were up again, and it stung him to see. "I wanted to apologize," he began, the words tumbling out before he could stop himself. "I didn't mean to make things feel so transactional yesterday. You did something incredible." He was weaving through his thoughts, but the sincerity pushed him forward. "I need you to know I recognize that." Maria said nothing, her expression unreadable. David felt the heat rise to his cheeks, fear creeping in. Would she let him in, or would she shut him out again? "I shouldn't have offered you money," he continued, finding courage in the honesty of the moment. "It was wrong, I see that now. Your actions were about so much more than that." She crossed her arms, tension radiating from her body. "And what do you think it meant?" A challenge hung in the air, daring him to respond. "I think it showed what we often overlook, what it means to truly care for someone," he said carefully, meeting her gaze. "You showed me that people like me can easily forget. We can miss those unsung moments that define a person." Maria remained silent, the tension coiling tighter. He was bearing a part of himself he rarely shared, hoping she could see the sincerity glimmering beneath the surface. "Can we start over?" David asked, his voice gently pleading. "Can I at least learn more about you? About your story, your dreams?" As he waited for her response, Maria felt the world spinning around them quiet down. Despite the swirling uncertainty in her heart, a hint of hope sparked within. But did she dare step beyond the cautious walls she had built around her life? In that breathless pause, a childish laughter echoed from the other room, reminding Maria of the lives she nurtured and the weight of sacrifices she'd always made. Could she truly give David a chance to see her more deeply? The winds outside continued to rustle, carrying whispers of change, and as the air hummed with possibility, Maria was left contemplating the most daunting question of all: could she trust him? Maria's heart raced, uncertainty clashing with the flicker of curiosity ignited by his words. She searched David's eyes for hidden motives, hoping to find a glimpse of sincerity amid the unease. Yet all she found was a vulnerability that mirrored her own. He wanted to know her beyond the roles they had played. But could she really let someone into her life? After so many years of building walls, of keeping her struggles quiet and her vulnerabilities hidden, the idea felt daunting. She inhaled deeply, contemplating the weight of her choices. "It's complicated," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't just lay it all out like that. You have no idea what it's like to live every day fighting for something bigger." David took a step closer, the desperation to understand etched on his face. His brow furrowed, but he maintained that patient gaze. "Try me. I want to hear about it. I want to know what drives you." Her heart pounded harder, each beat a reminder of the family she fought for, the dreams of education for Emma, the stability she longed to provide, the sacrifices that had taught her to be both strong and cautious. "I'm afraid you'll see me differently," she admitted, her voice trembling. That you'll think I'm pitiful. Never, he replied, the conviction in his tone surprising her. I may not know everything, but I know when someone has courage. The sincerity in his eyes pierced through the fog of hesitation. Maria felt the tension within her relax just slightly, but the fear still clung to her like an old, worn cloak. What would you know about courage? She asked, testing him. David's expression shifted, and in that moment, she saw a flash of something deeper, the weight of expectations, the pressure of success. More than you think, he said softly. I've struggled with my own demons, the legacy of a family that values wealth over connection. Maybe we're not so different. A silence fell, heavy and rich with unsaid words. Maria's mind raced. Could she really consider him more than just a privilege-wrapped stranger? Could he become part of her world? Or would the stark contrast simmer between them forever? Just then, the sound of Emma's laughter once again floated through the air. A reminder of innocence, of love, of everything Maria fought to protect. She's my whole world, Maria blurted out, the words rushing forth in a stream. Every decision I make is for her. I don't have time to think about anything else. The corners of David's lips turned upward, a gentle smile breaking through. And that's something to be proud of. I admire that, he said, reflecting the light of a connection they'd never shared before. In that moment, a feeling swelled between them, something tentative, yet filled with promise. Maybe we can help each other, he suggested, locking eyes with her. Let me learn about you, about Emma. I can offer support if you'll let me. Maria trembled at the thought, her mind a whirlwind of hope and trepidation. But something about his earnestness felt different. Could he genuinely be a friend? A mentor? Or was it simply a temporary reprieve from her loneliness? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden rays all around them, Maria felt something shift. A door cracked open, revealing a pathway into the unknown. All right, she whispered, scarcely believing her own words. Maybe, just maybe. But fear clung to her heart like a shadow, reminding her of all the times she had trusted and been let down. Could her heart withstand another leap of faith? With hope brewing in her chest, she took a deep breath, ready to step outside the fortress she had built around herself. Little did she know, the journey was just beginning, and both of their lives were about to change forever. As the last light of day faded, a shadow moved in the distance. An unexpected visitor, one who carried secrets that could shatter the delicate bond they were beginning to form. What would it mean for Maria if those secrets were to surface? The faint rustle of leaves stirred Maria from her thoughts. She turned, squinting into the fading light, and saw the silhouette of a figure just beyond the tree-line. It was too dark to see clearly, but her heart dropped at the uneasy feeling blooming in her chest. Who could it be at this hour? David's expression shifted, his brows knitting together as he sensed the change in her demeanor. Do you want me to check? He asked, glancing between her and the shadowy figure. No, Maria replied instinctively, holding up a hand to steady herself. She didn't want to seem alarmed, but the tight pinch in her stomach betrayed her calm facade. After all the years of shielding Emma from life's dangers, she didn't want to expose herself to more uncertainty. Maybe it's just someone passing by, David said, still peering into the dimming light. It could be harmless, she murmured, each syllable heavy with irony. Harmless had long since become a foreign concept in her life. Someone usually has a reason to come here. Emma's laughter floated through the air again, innocent and carefree, but it felt far too close to a sharp edge of reality. Maria's first instinct was to protect, to shield her child from the unknown, even if that meant retreating into the fortress she had built for them both. Just as she took a step back, the figure emerged from the shadows, a tall woman in a long coat, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the fading sun. Maria's breath caught in her throat. She knew her, a past memory, a whisper of trouble, one she thought she had escaped. Carmen? Maria's voice barely broke the silence. The woman stood there, a wraith from her past, bringing with her the echoes of hardship and decisions no one should have to make. Carmen's lips curved into a half-smile, revealing nothing. Maria, It's been a while, she said, her tone deceptively casual. The breeze carried an unease that thrummed in the air, amplifying the tension flickering between them. David shifted beside her, sensing the thickness of the moment. Do you know her? He asked, the concern in his voice palpable. She used to. Maria hesitated. I mean, she was part of my life once. A long time ago. Look, I'm not here to stir trouble, Carmen said, her voice lower now, almost pleading. There's something you need to know. It's important. Immediate alarm bells rang in Maria's mind. Why now? Why this moment? I don't want to hear anything from you. You don't have the right to just show up. She could feel her heart racing, the echo of old scars clawing at the edges of her composure. David took a step closer, sensing her growing distress. It's okay, Maria. We can take a moment, he suggested softly, his eyes never leaving hers. The kindness in his gaze steadied her, but it was hard to hold on when the penguin of unease loomed so nearby. Carmen sighed, frustration breaking through her composed exterior. You need to listen to me. It's about Emma. Things aren't as they seem. There are secrets. Maria shot back. Secrets? You think I'd trust anything from you? The thought alone made her stomach twist painfully. But then, in that moment of chaos, she caught a glimpse of desperation in Carmen's eyes, a spark of something genuine. Just hear me out, please. This could change everything for you both. Eager yet wary, Maria felt her defenses waver for just a moment. Could Carmen provide insight into the mysteries that swirled like storm clouds over their lives? Or was this another trap set by the past? Carmen opened her mouth as if to speak again, but something in the air shifted, a flicker of dread slicing through the evening. Above them, the stars began to peek through the darkening sky, distant and indifferent as if watching the unfoldings below. Maria, please, Carmen urged, her voice cracking. As the night deepened, uncertainty loomed larger than ever. Maria glanced back at David. In this moment, she had a choice to make: to dive into old wounds for the sake of her daughter, or to protect what she had fought so hard to build. But as the shadows flickered, she felt a shiver run down her spine. What was Carmen truly hiding? With that one question, everything hung in the balance, and Maria realized that whatever the truth was, the next decision could either tear their world apart or finally weave together the threads of their lives. Maria's voice trembled as she stared into Carmen's eyes, searching for any sign of sincerity. What could possibly be so important that it brings you here now after all this time? Carmen stepped closer, her coat rustling with the movement. I know this doesn't look good, but I promise I'm not here to hurt you. Emma, she's in danger. Danger? Maria scoffed, barely able to hide her disbelief. You think I believe anything that comes out of your mouth? Think about it, Maria. You've sheltered her from the world, but the past isn't done with us. I've seen things, heard things. These people. Carmen waved her hands in frustration. They won't stop at anything to get what they want. And you know what I mean. A gust of wind whispered through the trees, rustling the leaves in a way that felt almost foreboding. David placed a gentle hand on Maria's back, urging her to stay grounded. What are you talking about? Who's after Emma? Carmen shook her head, glancing nervously around as if she could feel unseen eyes watching them. There are people who don't just want to find her. They want to erase her. You think moving here would keep her safe? You have no idea what you're up against. Her voice dropped to a hushed tone. I thought I could protect you both. But it's happening again. Maria's heart raced. Her past with Carmen came rushing back, a torrent of memories that she wanted to forget but knew she couldn't. What do you know about Emma? I can't say much here. We need to find a safer place to talk. Please just trust me for once, Carmen urged, desperation painted across her features. Trust? You lost that right a long time ago. Maria shot back, feeling fresh wounds reopen like salt in the air. Maria, just listen. I'm risking everything coming here. The last thing I want is to see you get hurt again. I owe you that much, and what do you owe me exactly? Maria interrupted, her voice rising. Anger warred with fear, and she took a step forward. David placed both hands on her shoulders. Maria, we need to weigh this. If there's any chance of danger, we should hear her out, he said, calm in the storm of her emotions. Carmen looked between them, her expression softening. I can prove it to you both. Just one meeting, that's all I'm asking. The truth, and if it doesn't add up, you can walk away. Maria felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. What if it was true? What if the idyllic life she had fought to create for Emma was an illusion? Could she bear the burden of her past if it meant saving her daughter? I need to think, Maria said, her voice cracking. Not too long, Carmen warned, her tone urgent. Time isn't on our side. Before Maria could respond, she felt a strange flutter in the pit of her stomach, a mix of dread and determination. What if Carmen was right? What if the threat to Emma was real? As the night deepened, the shadows crept closer, shrouding Maria in uncertainty. Her instincts screamed to protect. But what if the answers lay on the other side of this confrontation? Where do you want to meet? Maria asked, her resolve strengthening despite the fear. Carmen glanced around again, tension etched into her features. There's an old diner on Highway 7, the one that's been closed for years. Come tomorrow at noon. It's where you'll find answers. As the shadows thinned, Maria realized she was at a crossroads. The stakes had changed, and with them, the future she envisioned for her daughter. Could she confront the past to save the present? As they turned to head back up the path, an uneasy silence lingered among them, the weight of unanswered questions hanging heavily in the air. Tomorrow would bring the truth. But what would she be willing to sacrifice to uncover it? Would she brave the darkness for the light of knowledge, even if it threatened to unravel everything? Morning light filtered through the curtains, casting warm patterns across the living room. Maria sat on the edge of the couch, her heart thudding in her chest. She glanced at the clock, the hands moving slowly as if mocking her anxiety. David was still asleep, his breathing steady and deep. She felt a pang of guilt for what she had to face today. Emma's laughter echoed faintly from the kitchen as she rummaged for breakfast. Maria's heart swelled with love and protectiveness. She turned her gaze toward the open door separating her from the little girl who was her whole world. Emma was blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside their door. Maria's thoughts flitted back to Carmen's warning. The danger wasn't merely a shadow, it was tangible, pressing against her, demanding to be acknowledged. She couldn't let fear dictate her choices, especially not for Emma. What if Carmen wasn't lying? The dread coiled tightly in her stomach, squeezing at her resolve. She thought of the old diner on Highway 7, a place that brought memories of simpler times. But those memories were tainted now, like the cracked tiles on the diner's floor, hinting at things long gone and buried. Mom! Emma's voice broke through her thoughts. Can you help me find the peanut butter? Coming, Maria called, her voice strained with conflicting emotions. With one last look at the clock, she took a deep breath and joined her daughter in the kitchen. As Maria spread a thick layer of peanut butter on bread, she watched Emma dance around, her small feet tapping rhythmically against the floor like a heartbeat. That rhythm pulled at Maria's heartstrings, urging her to protect this joy at any cost. Are you okay, Mommy? Emma asked, tilting her head in that endearing way that always made her mother smile. Of course, sweetie, Maria replied, forcing a lightness into her voice. She tried to probe deeper, yearning to keep that innocence safe. Just a lot on my mind today. Emma took a big bite of her sandwich and shrugged. Sometimes I have a lot on my mind too, like how I want to be a dancer and a scientist. Maria chuckled, her heart warming momentarily. That sounds fun and daring. Yeah, I can be anything I want, right? Emma grinned brightly, her innocence almost painful as it contrasted sharply with the darkness Maria felt creeping in. Absolutely, she whispered, hoping that they could both believe it. But as the clock ticked forward, doubt began to settle. Maria's eyes darted to the doorway. Was she being selfish? Shouldn't she do whatever it took to keep Emma safe, even if that involved confronting her past? After breakfast, Emma went to her room to get ready for a playdate with her friends. Maria stood in the living room pacing. The weight of the decision loomed over her. She needed to know what was coming for them, but knowledge also came with a price. What if confronting the truth shattered the world she had worked so hard to create? She stopped, her resolve crumbling. Carmen might have made mistakes, but didn't she deserve a chance to explain? Maria clenched her fists. Maybe she needed to take that chance, not just for herself but also for Emma. With a final glance at Emma, her heart surged with a new kind of determination. Leaving the past alone would mean silent doom, but facing it was a risk worth taking. Maria grabbed her jacket and headed for the door. As she stepped outside, the wind picked up, swirling leaves around her in an almost encouraging embrace. She felt alive, invigorated. But what awaited her at the diner? Would she finally unleash the truth that could either save or destroy? Tomorrow would bring clarity, but today was hers to navigate. With each step, she wrestled with the knowledge that she might not be prepared for the answers waiting for her. Only time would tell if she could embrace the storm brewing ahead. The diner loomed ahead, its neon sign flickering like a beacon in the gathering clouds. Maria's heart raced as she pushed through the glass door, an unfamiliar weight settling on her chest. The scent of grease and burnt coffee swirled around her, bringing back memories she thought were locked away forever. She spotted a corner booth, the same one where she had shared laughter with friends long gone. Rita, the waitress, raised an eyebrow as she approached, her lips forming a thin line of curiosity. Well, look who finally decided to show up, she said, wiping her hands on her apron. Hi, Rita, Maria replied, trying to muster a smile. Is Carmen here? Rita's expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing her features. Yeah, but you might want to think twice. Why? She has been a bit off lately. In some deep trouble she won tea talk about. Maria's pulse quickened. Was this the danger Carmen had hinted at? The thought unnerved her, but she was used to walking her path alone, needing clarity. Taking a seat, Maria scanned the diner. The usual crowd was thin today, just a few old-timers nursing cups of coffee. She took a deep breath, forcing the intensity of her mission to drown out the soothing hum of idle chatter. Moments later, Carmen swung through the door, her presence magnetic yet frail. When their eyes met, a myriad of emotions flared, both longing and pent-up frustration. The years had etched soft lines on Carmen's face, but her spirit seemed unbroken. Maria, she breathed, taking tentative steps toward her. You didn't have to come. I did, Maria said firmly, her voice echoing with what felt like years of unprocessed feelings. I need to know the truth. Carmen hesitated, glancing around as if weighing the risks of their conversation. Not here, she said finally, gesturing towards the back of the diner. As they wove through the tables, Maria noticed the tension in Carmen's posture. In that moment, Maria felt a wave of protectiveness surge within her. This woman had risked everything in her past, and now she was facing something terrible again. They ducked into a cramped storage room, boxes lined against the walls. The muffled ambience of clinking dishes faded, replaced by an eerie silence. Carmen, what is going on? Maria pressed, keeping her tone soft yet urgent. It's not about me, Carmen began, her voice trembling. It's about you and Emma. Maria's heart sank. What does that mean? Just tell me. Carmen's gaze dropped to the floor, her voice barely a whisper. There are people looking for you. From a long time ago. They want answers and they won't stop until they find you. An icy fist gripped Maria's chest. For years, she buried her past, convinced it was behind her. But now it was creeping back, insistent and hungry. Why? Maria choked out, fighting to remain composed. What do they want? Because Carmen hesitated, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. What you think you left behind. It's still alive and it wants to claim you. Fear washed over Maria like a dark tide. The truth, once a mere shadow, was now a tangible threat. Could she face it? Would it tear her world apart? Carmen, she exclaimed, feeling the panic rise as she grasped Carmen's shoulders. I can't let this happen to Emma. I'm not strong enough. With shaking hands, Carmen cupped Maria's face, an intense focus in her eyes. You are stronger than you know, Maria. You just need to believe it. Outside, a storm was brewing, echoing the turmoil within. The fight for Emma's safety had just begun, and Maria understood that she needed to navigate through her nightmares to find peace. But deep down, she questioned if confronting the truth would cost her everything she held dear. Maria Carmen whispered, and the weight of her name hung heavy in the air, cradling a promise and a warning as they stood in the cramped space. The past and future collided in a swirl of emotions, leaving Maria wondering could she truly face whatever awaited her. And just as doubt took root, a loud crash drew both women's attention, reverberating through the diner like a thunderclap. What had stirred? Outside, their world felt ready to shift again, and Maria's heart raced, knowing the answers she sought were just beginning to unfurl, leading her deeper into the unknown. The crash came from the front of the diner, the sound sharp enough to slice through the tension in the air. Maria's heart raced as she and Carmen exchanged wide-eyed glances. "Stay here," Carmen urged, her voice low but steady. She moved toward the door, her familiar strength surfacing just in time. Maria's instinct screamed to follow, but she hesitated, uncertain if the danger lay in the storm brewing outside or the storm within. Another crash echoed, louder this time. A chorus of murmurs erupted from the few patrons remaining. Rita sprinted past them, her expression a mix of resolve and fear. "I need to see what's going on," she shouted over her shoulder, vanishing into the chaotic scene beyond. "Carmen, wait," Maria called, but it was too late. The door swung shut behind Carmen, leaving Maria in the dim light of the storage room. She felt her hands tremble, fighting the instinct to turn back and bolt. But what lay outside could change everything. Emma's safety depended on it. Taking a deep breath, Maria steeled herself and stepped out into the familiar chaos of the diner. The world outside felt electric, charged with uncertainty. Rain began to tap insistently against the windows, like tiny hands urging her to step further into the heart of it all. That in the far corner, Carmen was in a heated argument with a man in a leather jacket. He towered over her, his fists clenched. Maria's heart dropped, a sense of dread racing through her veins. She saw the way Carmen stood her ground, but the flicker of vulnerability in her eyes told Maria all she needed to know. "Carmen," Maria shouted, suddenly breaking through the din. The patrons turned to her, their expressions a mixture of concern and fear. The storm, both inside and out, seemed ready to erupt. Carmen turned, her eyes meeting Maria's. "Get back. It's not safe." But before Maria could respond, the man turned sharply, fixing a fierce gaze on her. "Ah, so you've finally shown up," he sneered, stepping towards Maria with an aggressive stride. "You've made it this far, but this ends tonight." "Who are you?" Maria demanded, feeling anger seep through her fear. She squared her shoulders, forcing herself to hold her ground. "What do you want from me?" A smirk curled on his lips, but it was devoid of humor. "Answers. You've been hiding, and now you're both in my way. There's a reckoning coming, and I'm here to collect." Panic clawed at Maria's insides. This man knew more than he let on about her past. But Carmen stood bravely, still between her and the threat. Maria realized in that moment she wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for Emma's future, for Carmen's safety. But as the tension escalated, the weight of her own past pressed against her, threatening to crush her resolve. There had been choices made and consequences lived through, and now those choices were spiraling back, demanding recognition. Just then, the diner door burst open again, letting in a gust of wind and driving rain. A figure stepped inside, drenched and breathless. Maria squinted through the storm of doubt and fear. It was Emma, her eyes wide with confusion. "Mom!" Emma shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Time slowed as Maria's heart leaped. She felt everything freeze: the confrontation, the storm, her own thoughts. Emma was here, and the stakes had just been raised. "Get away from her!" Carmen shouted, stepping decisively to shield Maria and Emma from the menacing figure. Could Maria finally confront the shadows of her past and protect those she loved? With every heartbeat, the weight of unspoken truths hung heavy in the air, and Maria realized the real battle had only just begun. As silence fell over the diner, all eyes shifted towards them, the question lingering thick in the air. What were they truly willing to sacrifice to protect those they loved? Maria's heart raced wildly, a drumbeat of panic and resolve crashing against one another. She could hardly breathe as the reality of the moment settled in. Emma was here, and that leather-clad stranger was a threat, not just to her, but to the little girl who had stolen her heart. "Mom, what is going on?" Emma asked, her voice small, eyes darting between Carmen and the man who loomed like a dark storm cloud. There was an innocence in her gaze, and the sight of it ignited a fierce protectiveness in Maria. Carmen didn't waver. "Just stay close, Emma." Her voice was calm, but Maria could see the tension in her shoulders. The man took a step forward, his shadow stretching like a dark omen. "Isn't it cute?" he said, his sneer deepening. "The little girl has no idea how deep she is into this mess." Maria felt rage bubbling inside her, her fear morphing into something more powerful. "You don't scare us," she shot back, her voice stronger than she felt. "Whatever you think you can do, you won't get past me." The man cocked his head, eyes narrowing. "You think that standing there with her means anything? I know you, Maria. I know your secrets." His words cut deep. Secrets she thought buried were rising to the surface, and with them, memories that she wished to forget. She shuddered at the thought of what he might reveal. "Shut up," Carmen snapped, stepping even closer to Maria and Emma. She now stood as an impenetrable wall, every inch of her radiating strength. Despite the storm drenching her clothes and muddling her hair, Carmen emanated a fierce glow. It motivated Maria to stand firm, bolstered by the love that surrounded them like a protective shield. "Secrets? What does he know?" Emma whispered, tugging at Maria's sleeve, her little face a mix of confusion and worry. "I'll explain later, sweetie," Maria said, her words a silent promise. She would protect Emma from this darkness for as long as she could. The man laughed, a low, horrific sound that sent chills down Maria's spine. "Time's running out," he growled. "You can't hide from the past forever." "I'm not hiding," Maria declared, stepping alongside Carmen. United, they were a force, a collection of fierce love and willpower. "I'm ready to face whatever it is you want from me. But you will not hurt my daughter." The man seemed taken aback for a moment, as if he hadn't anticipated her defiance. He shifted slightly, a flicker of hesitation dancing across his face. "Brave words." He leaned closer, a predatory glint in his eyes. "But bravery won't save you or her." In that instant, something shifted within Maria. She didn't just want to protect Emma. She wanted to reclaim her life, to stand against the shadows that had haunted her for too long. Something akin to clarity washed over her, merging with her fierce love for her daughter and Carmen. "You're wrong," she said, her voice steady. "Love is stronger than fear." Silence settled over the diner, palpable and thick, as all eyes jumped between the trio and the looming threat. The storm outside raged on, but inside, a different tempest brewed, one filled with the potency of love, courage, and the promise of sacrifice. The man stepped back, his expression wary. It didn't matter to Maria what he would do next. This was her declaration, her fight. But before a reply could escape his lips, a loud crash sounded from the back room, echoing through the diner like a gunshot. All attention turned, confusion morphing to horror. "Now what?" Carmen whispered, her eyes darting toward the noise. In that moment, Maria felt the fragile thread of hope clashing against the tide of uncertainty. Could there be a way out? Was the past finally closing in? Or could they stand united and rise together? As the door to the back swung open, revealing a looming figure cloaked in shadows, Maria's heart slipped into a treacherous abyss of dread. What would she have to face next? The figure stepped into the weak light of the diner, and both Maria and Carmen recoiled slightly. It was a man tall, rugged, and intimidating. His eyes glinted like shards of glass, cutting straight through the tension that filled the air. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within. "Who are you?" Maria demanded, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her insides. The man's lips curled into a mocking smile. "I'm here at the behest of someone you thought was far behind you." A knot twisted in Maria's stomach. She glanced quickly at Carmen, seeking reassurance, but found only shared dread. "What do you want?" Maria pressed, feeling a mix of anger and feigned bravery bubbling to the surface. "Let us just say, the past has a way of catching up with you." He took a step closer. "And now it's your time to pay." Emma clutched Maria's shirt tighter. "Mom?" The child's innocent question hung in the air, making Maria's heart ache. Could she really protect her daughter from this darkness? "Get away from them," Carmen shouted, stepping forward, her voice ringing with fierce determination. But the man simply chuckled, unfazed by Carmen's bravado. "Bravery won't protect you," he taunted. Maria felt her courage flicker, but she wouldn't allow herself to slide into despair. "I am ready to face whatever is coming," she asserted, lips pressed tightly together. "You won't win." His smile widened, projecting an air of false confidence. "This isn't a game, Maria. Your family, your secrets are interwoven in this." A sharp pain shot through her. The weight of her past pressed down, a burden she had carried in silence. Old faces flashed through her mind, choices made and consequences borne. But the fiercest thought was for Emma. For her child, she would confront it head-on. "I am not afraid," Maria declared, fueled by the love that surged through her veins. "I've stared my fears in the face before. You don't know me." The man hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. For just a moment, he faltered, and Maria seized that sliver of doubt. "You can't threaten what I've built." With a swift movement, Carmen began to circle, ready to take the man from behind, a calculated risk urging her forward. As if sensing this shift, he turned to Carmen with a glare. "You think it's that easy? You are all pawns in a much bigger game." "Then make your move," Maria challenged. "Because I won't let you take what's precious to me. I will fight for my family." The words tore through the haze of fear and danger, igniting something deep inside her. Emma's small hand slipped into hers, grounding her. Maria squeezed her daughter's hand tightly, a silent vow of protection. Suddenly, the diner's door burst open again, carrying a gust of stormy winds. A commotion erupted from the street outside, pulling the criminal's attention. He looked back at the door but found himself still facing the fire that ignited in Maria's eyes. "Go!" Carmen shouted, urging Emma and Maria to move. Out the side, the trio dashed toward the back, their hearts pounding in rhythm with the storm outside. Maria's breath burned in her chest, and in that frantic moment, she knew she had to escape, to protect her daughter. As they neared the side exit, reality shattered around them. The very sense of safety Maria had longed for felt tenuous at best. Just as they bolted through the doorway, a crash resounded behind them. "Carmen, hold the door!" Maria shouted, urgency pulsing through her veins. Carmen planted herself against the doorframe, her muscles coiling like a spring ready to unleash. "Want to see how brave you really are?" she called back, glancing at Maria with fierce determination. "We hold the line together." Maria nodded, respect blooming in her heart. They would confront this threat, not just for themselves, but for Emma's future too. Outside, the rain pelted down, creating a chaotic barrier between them and the shadows lurking in the diner. They stumbled into the alleyway, the chill nipping at their skin. Residue of fear still coiled in her belly, but something bright began to counter at hope. This was when they would unite. It was time to push against the darkness encircling them. Together, she whispered to Carmen, holding onto that sentiment tightly. Side by side with her daughter and Carmen, they turned back, ready to face whatever storm awaited them. The fight was far from over, but Maria had made a choice. She would transform her fear into strength, knowing that love would light their way through the treacherous unknown. And as they stood resolutely as one, Maria felt a shift. The winds of change rustled in their favor. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that could change everything. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us keep bringing you these amazing journeys. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's keep the story alive.